Hinckle Dud. That's what it says on my birth certificate. Dud. No better way to describe me. My father used to say that I was just some pre-cum that drizzled out of the sack one cold night. He didn't even want to have sex with my ma. Ma didn't even want to have sex with him. They were just cold and needed to warm up one night. A heater? That cost money. Money Pa didn't have. 9 months later, I popped out of the womb. The snow was falling, the carols are singing, and me? I was a-crying. Not much had changed since 38 years ago. I was crying in my mother's arms. Now I cry alone as I look at my Pogs collection. Pogs. Man, the 90s. Now those were the days. I got so many Pogs that if you were to come into my office, all you'd see is Pogs. Pogs are great, but this ain't a story about Pogs. As much as I'd like to describe how I got every color of the rainbow of Pogs, and also black, gold, maroon, cream, felt, white, and Rocky Road brown Pogs, I can't keep talking about Pogs. Christ. Now that guy was a bit of a problem for me. I always hated Christ. When people were supposed to be singing happy birthday to me, what were they doing? Huh? They were singing Away in a Manger. When I was supposed to be blowing out my candles, what were we doing? Huh? Opening Christmas presents. You hear that? Christmas presents. None of this shit was for me. None of it. Now this guy is all blessed as the meek and talks about pride and all that stuff, but look at me. Look at me. I get the same birthday as some dead guy, and what happens? They love the dead guy. They give nothing to old Hinckle Dud. None of this is for me. Never. Worst part is, I once heard this wasn't even his birthday. Does anyone listen to me, though? No, they don't. I try to tell people as I wheel my hot dog stand downtown. You know it's not even this guy's birthday, right? They just nod their head and squirt mustard on their weenie and walk away. Now I know, this Christ guy is a controversial figure to be saying this stuff about. I mean, no disrespect. And as much as that guy bothers me, this next guy, I hate him even more. I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus. That's not a quote. That's something I saw. I also saw him bend her over and stick it in her asshole. On Christmas. Even worse, on my birthday. Let me tell you, once you see gingerbread cookies shaking as the table rocks back and forth, you'll never look at them the same way again. I tried to keep it under wraps. I tried to keep it quiet. I never said anything to my father, but I could see it in his eyes. Every year, on my birthday. The melancholy, the dread. He knew that on the 23rd, him and Ma may be having sex, but on the 24th, her and Santa were making love. I even saw Dad dress up as Santa once. On that Christmas Eve, I sat on his lap and could smell the rum on his breath. He didn't need to say it, but I could feel it. He was just a cheap imitation of the morbidly obese man he could never be. Fast forward to my 23rd birthday. I had come home with a new Christmas ornament, a glass weenie from my job. To my horror, I could hear the sweet moans from my bedroom. The only thing I remember is the ornament hitting the floor and the glass shooting out like shrapnel hitting my legs as my world went sideways and my skull hit the tile. It happened to Pa, and it happened to me. I awoke 4 months later. I had suffered a coma, and to my surprise, my wife was 4 months pregnant. I wish this story was about Pogs. I just want to look at my Pogs collection. I just want to touch them, to feel them, to know that it's going to be okay. I wish this story was about Pogs. But it wasn't when I started it, and it still isn't. Unfortunately. Once her son was born, I didn't know what to do. We didn't have the money, so we tried to get a hold of this Satanic guy. Never heard back. We did a DNA test, and all that came out was that her son had 70% European, 25% East Asian, 15% candy cane. In a court of law, that didn't hold. His elf lawyer said that could be any mythological being's kid. We couldn't get the courts to force Kris Kringle to take the test. It was thrown out. It turned out that Santa was a real deadbeat, and now Hinckle Dud's got to foot the bill. We named him Jack, like the Pumpkin King from the hit film The Nightmare Before Christmas, hoping that he would grow to love the spooky and not the jolly. To our dismay, on his first Halloween that he could talk, he wanted to dress as his dear old dad. That was it. I had enough. I threw out all the ornaments. I vowed to never get another tree again. I burned the stockings and even threw out every sock I owned, forever promising that I would only wear Crocs. But still, he persisted. Every 24th, he would wonder if Santa was coming this year like he did for all the other boys. Eventually, I lied and told him yes. But in reality, it was me, Old Hinckle Dud buying whatever cheap toy they had at the Walmart the week before my birthday. One December night, I was wheeling my cart around town. A lot of people just weren't feeling like meat that night. No one wanted my weenie, so I parked and waited near the busy street. Next thing I know, I'm looking at this guy. He's like twitching and freezing. His eyes are sunken in and walks up to me. He looked thin, not sexy thin, like not sexy thin, like bony thin, like skeleton thin. He scratches himself and I can see that this dude has little holes all over his arms and his eyes are dilated. He sort of yelps at me, but I could tell he was hungry. So I give him a weenie. He doesn't even chew. He just deep throats it down to his belly and asks for another. I give it to him. He smiles a toothless smile. The next week or so wheels around and I'm beat. My bones are aching and my arms feel like jelly. I sat down on my chair looking at my bogs. God, I love bogs. I stare deep into their color and shape, admiring everything they have to offer. I remember my eyes starting to close when I look at my phone and realize it's the 24th at 8 p.m. I run out the door, running to the nearest Walmart or Target, now remembering that I had forgotten to buy Jack a present. I bang on the glass sliding door, feeling the sting of the icy entryway hitting my fists. Everywhere was closed. I went home, a dud, Hinckle Dud to be exact, a loser, unable to provide for my wife's kid. That night I tossed and turned. My wife tried to console me, scratching my back and kissing my forehead. He'll understand, she said. That lying, cheating bitch. He'd never understand. I drifted off into a deep, blackened slumber when suddenly I awoke. I could hear something in the living room. I grabbed my baseball bat that I kept under my pillow. As I crept forward into the hallway, I could hear the distinct sound of sawing. At first, I gripped my bat, preparing to bash the fat man's brains in. He knew that there was a restraining order against him, and if he came anywhere close to my wife's kid or her supple body, he was gonna deal with the law, and me, and my bat. But to my surprise, it wasn't a fat man. It was a very skinny man sawing away a professionally carved rocking horse. I couldn't believe my eyes as I watched in the darkness. He carved toy soldiers, trains, and even melted down a bunch of plastic bottle caps to make the latest Marvel Avengers Thor toy that Jack had wanted for the last 4 years. I snuck out of the room bedazzled, or dazzled, whatever. The next morning, Jack leapt out of his bed and ran straight to the kitchen. His laughter filled the house the entire Christmas day, and his joy could be felt in every nook and cranny. Beside the toys and odd bits of candy, a note was left. Thanks for helping me in my time of need. I've been watching you for some time and thought I'd return the favor. I hope Jack a very Merry Christmas, and for you, a very happy birthday.